Hey guys, it's Luthien, and along with Emerus, we are Girls with Sabers. In this video, we will be diving deep into the parallels between Ben and Rey and two Knights of the Old Republic characters, Darth Revan and Bastila Shan. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which is often abbreviated as KOTOR, is an RPG video game series and subsequent comic book series based on Star Wars by George Lucas, and it first released in 2003. With all of this said, we will be focusing more on the information from the video games rather than the comics. This video will contain heavy spoilers throughout, where we will be discussing gameplay, themes, dialogue, and outcomes, so you have been warned. Now, time for a shout-out.
Hello, Galaxy. This is your Supreme Leader, Kylo Ren, back at it, with a shout-out from the girls' latest live stream, Two Girls and an ATAT, which was with none other than their bestie, ATTRIBUTIONS chat. I wish I had a friendship as solid as theirs. Okay, here we go. Inventor Zaron327 commented, "Can we just take a moment to recognize how the GWS logo is a masterpiece of graphic design? Right you are, sir. Emerus created this glorious design, and the girl's friend, There Is Another, put in the final touches to make it one of the most breathtaking logos this side of the galaxy. This logo, along with other designs, are available in the girl's merch store, which will be linked in this video's description. Click it to get all the good swag. I think I am going to buy a hoodie. I love hoodies. It's gonna say peace, love, and Reylo. I may as well strut my stuff, wearing my favorite mantra. Alright, enjoy the video, and may the Force be with you, always."
We're talking about Revan and Bastila. There's a lot. We laugh because we have started this podcast numerous times, and it's like the Dark Lord doesn't want us to talk about him for some reason.
Well, we're gonna try our best, because I don't know how many more times we can try. Or reschedule it, or...
But we love him. We're trying to pay our respects, Revan. Come on.
Yes.
And we're going to make some comparisons between the Revan and Bastila relationship and compare it to Reylo. We realize that other channels have made similar content, but we're going to put the Girls with Sabers spin on it and talk about what the Knights of the Old Republic talk about love in the Star Wars galaxy. The time Revan showed up in the Star Wars universe was in a game called Knights of the Old Republic. It was published by LucasArts and developed by BioWare and was released in 2003. It takes place 4,000 years before the formation of the Galactic Empire, where Darth Malak, a Dark Lord of the Sith, has unleashed a Sith Armada against the Republic. In the game, we discover that Darth Malak was actually the apprentice of Revan. Revan is also a Sith Lord, but he supposedly died. So the player of this game goes through and first rescues Bastila, a Jedi Padawan, and then they seek to go and save the galaxy from Darth Malak's plan. I played this game multiple times and I love it. It's awesome. It's so fun, and so many gamers say that it's on their top 10 list.
So what's the gameplay like? Can you, customize your character, or are you just, flat out either a guy or a girl and that's it?
You can choose it to be a guy or a girl. And then when you choose either, you have 3 roles to take. You can either be a scoundrel, kind of like a Han Solo character, a soldier, and then you can be a pilot. So I've always played the soldier route because I like to play as a Jedi Guardian. And if you're ever interested in the codes of the Jedi Order of the Sith and really go into the philosophy of both orders. Knights of the Old Republic does an incredible job of giving you the history and the codes, and you as your character have a remarkable aptitude in the Force. So you are taken as an adult into the Jedi Order and you're taught. So you are taken through the trials of the Jedi and learn the way of both orders. You also go to the Sith Academy. No matter how you play light or dark, which is another choice you can make, go to the Sith Academy and you train as a Sith as well.
So your decisions that you make throughout the game will determine whether your character aligns with the light or the dark side.
And it's an ongoing decision because you have choices.
Okay.
You have choices at every turn. So there are some people who play middle, like they're neither light nor dark, but there are some people who intentionally go light side. There are people that intentionally go dark side. It is so much fun. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. As a player, you realize that you are actually Revan born again. And that was the reason that you had a connection with Bastila all along. That Bastila was told by the Jedi to leave you alive, and then the Jedi Order decided to transfer his conscious into another person's body so that they can hopefully rescue them as well, and bring him to the light side. One of the reasons that Bastila falls herself and goes dark is she felt like that was highly manipulative. The Jedi Council to decide not to tell you who you really are. She felt like you need to be given a choice with your full knowledge of what happened. So, I can see her opinion. I really can. I can see it. And even then, the Jedi were extremely suspicious of you during your whole training. Don't know Revan's true name. In fact, if you go back through Revan's history, Revan as a Jedi, Revan as a Padawan, is known as the man who became Revan. He was so interested in the whole knowledge of the Force. Like, he didn't just want to know about the light side, he wanted to know about the dark side. And every free amount of time he had while he was training in the Jedi Temple, he would nonstop ask the Jedi Masters questions, which roused suspicion and basically angered the Jedi Council. Like, too much knowledge will hurt you. So he had this thirst for knowledge. Then came the Mandalorian Wars, which the Mandalorians were killing off a huge amount of planets on the Outer Rim, and that resulted in many lives lost. People came to the Jedi Order on Dantooine and said, please, would you help us? Whole planets are being slaughtered. The Jedi want to wait, and they didn't want to be part of the war. The man who will become Revan decided that he wanted to fight, and so he left the Jedi Order, and along with his friend Alec, who will later become Malik, they left, and Revan became the leading commander against the Mandalorians for the Republic. And he was a brilliant strategist. He was respected even amongst the Mandalorians for his bravery, his cunning, and he would use the Force in his quest. He also took on that mask that he wears, is the mask of a Mandalorian warrior. It was that whole political message that he wanted to send. He wanted his face basically to be gone. He wanted to be the man who would defeat the Mandalorians, and that's the reason he wore the mask.
Not because he needed it to survive or anything. It was sending a message.
It was a political...
A symbol.
Right. Yeah.
Well, this sounds like Kylo Ren.
I mean, they had that quest for knowledge, and I wonder if that's one of the reasons why Luke was like, you have too much of the dark in you, because maybe he was
Yeah.
on a quest for knowledge. He was trying to find that information, and that's why he had
Mm-hmm.
that calligraphy, and he was trying to find and interpret the ancient texts and things of that nature, because he wanted to know the ways of the Force, not just the ways of the Jedi, the ways of the Force. Yeah. So in their journey to discover how the Mandalorian Wars actually started, that it was not the Mandalorians that really kindled that war. It was actually
Right, it was a Sith
it was a
underlying
Sith Lord
cause,
who kind of mind controlled them. And so they broke free of that. But then in research, they found all these old texts, Sith texts, which really opened them to the dark side. And so people kind of interpret that as once you read the old texts, then you will go dark. But the fact is Revan actually believed in the Sith texts.
Moving on. Who was Kreia?
Kreia is one of his Jedi masters.
When Revan was a Jedi.
Kreia became one of the Sith Lords and Knights of the Old Republic named Traya.
Okay.
And Traya, even as a Sith Lord, had great respect for Revan. And Traya, when she was a Jedi Master, would always answer his questions. She could actually levitate and fight with 3 sabers, levitated sabers. That would just...
Sorry, I'm picking my mouth off the floor.
Yeah.
Picking it. I can't even talk.
And
so what I love here in our outline, what you said about Kreia's thoughts about Revan, that she believed he would become the face of the Jedi, and when she fell, or was pushed towards the dark side, after she fell and she became Traya, you wrote, she realized she was wrong about Revan. He was the face of the Force itself. Yeah. I believe that is Ben and Rey together, that they are the face of the Force. We kept getting this 2 halves of the same coin, 2 halves of the protagonist, and they both together are the face of the Force.
So at the end of Knights of the Old Republic, you face Malik. And Malik makes the statement of, what are you? You are neither Sith nor Jedi. And there is still that understanding of he was both a Jedi Master and a Sith Lord. He tasted both. And people are like, well, even Yoda said, once you go to the dark, you'll never return. Well, no, because you have all these characters who do return. Revan was responsible for the death of numerous people. He himself went after Jedi and killed them. He had this idea of what the Jedi should be. He believed that the Jedi would go extinct. So that was like his ends justify the means of, we can save the Jedi. And if you don't turn and see my way, you're going to die. There's so much argument that can be made of Revan. Did he become a Sith or did he become Jedi? He was both. There were statues of him in the Republic for saving the Republic. But then there were also statues of him in the Sith chamber. He was both. His holocron was considered sacred to Darth Bane. It was really Revan who came up with the idea or philosophy of the rule of 2.
I wanted to talk a little bit about what types of powers Revan had, even before he left the Sith. So Revan was able to absorb Force powers from nearby individuals and drain their knowledge. Yes. We see that going on a little bit with what Ben and Rey are doing with each other. They've opened that door and it's a back and forth. They can Force mind reading is happening. That door is wide open and they can go back and forth. So they're gaining each other's knowledge, but there's no like taking it from the other person. It's shared. It's this, again, open doorway that constantly
Yeah.
stays open. The absorbing the force powers from other individuals, that's gnarly. So how does that, do you see that in the game, or do you just hear about that's one of his abilities?
Those are in the comics and the novels. And in Battlefront, the Star Wars Battlefront, you actually see what it looks like when Kylo Ren journeys through a person's mind. It's like,
right,
do you want to tell them what you saw? Because I sent this link to because I don't have a console because I'm poor. But I sent this link of gameplay to Luthien because I was freaking out. I was like, "This is what it looks like."
Well, isn't it very ethereal?
Yeah, it's like when he's trying to go through someone's mind, he even stalks them through different locations of their life, and he hears conversations going on.
Yes.
And he'll make commentary about them. And doubters who are listening to this probably, well, that's how the game works. The games are part of canon, yo. You know, that really makes sense because when Rey and Kylo entered each other's minds, Rey was probably able to move around Kylo's timeline, which means she heard the lessons that Luke taught him. She learned how to do a mind trick from that. She learned all of this probably because she heard it as she went through his memories.
It probably has this world between worlds way about it where time is not even the same as what's going on in the real world. Real time, we see this mind reading happening, and we see it in real time. But between the characters, or the character who's doing the mind reading, or Ben and Rey back and forth between each other, time has to stop almost. Where they're in this moment and they're seeing and hearing things that may take 5, 6, 7 seconds for us, but for them, it happens in the same amount of time it happened for the person when it happened. Yeah. But people need to remember that, where time, the story, it's fantasy, the rules are different. Yeah. All the rules don't apply.
And it's interesting to me because when you see that Battlefront clip, there's a man who is trying to hide valuable information from Kylo in regards to where Luke is. And so he's running from Kylo through all of his memories. Rey, I think if we saw a video of what was happening between Kylo and Rey in that interrogation scene, I think Rey just turned around and chased him.
Once she realized what was happening and she started pushing back, then it opened up for her and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to do it to you." And Kylo's trying to keep her out and she's still getting past. Right. It's like this big game of keep away.
That's who she is. She's like, "I'm not going to be intimidated by you." He stood her ground.
So one more thing about Revan that is sincerely like Kylo Ren is they will bend the morals to justify the means. So the end justifies the means. But Poe does the same thing. And what I love about the Kylo Ren comic that just came out is you see Kylo very much paralleling his grandfather, but what he did that his grandfather could not is he saved as many lives as possible. Vader, thousands died on both sides during that Banathi War. Kylo, in killing their leader, who, by the way, was not going to stop annihilating surrounding planets, killed him and then killed his sentinels, and then, of course, killed the Zillo Beast, which, by the way, no Jedi or Sith Lord had ever been able to do until Ben Solo sliced through that Zillo Beast. By far, absolutely astounding. So he saved as many lives as he could. And many people can make the argument, well, he just stood by and watched the Hosnian system get destroyed. Well, what else was he going to do? First of all, he stood in that throne room in front of Snoke's hologram and said, "You don't have to do that. I can get the map." He was very quick to say that. And yes, he killed Lor Santeca himself. He ordered the killing of the villagers. He was up against a wall and he had to make a hard decision in wartime. These stormtroopers are around me. I can't shrug this off. Phasma is here.
Revan teaches that mercy and compassion are wrong, and it will only lead to death and destruction further on. But that's not a guarantee. I mean, that is not a cause and effect that you trace. So I think that was the missing key, is what really led Revan to the dark side after he read those texts is not necessarily the texts themselves, but the fact that he was willing to sacrifice mercy and compassion, and he saw that as a way of it actually hurts people and hurts things, and that's not Ben. What does he have? He has the heart of his father, the heart of Han Solo, and that is a heart of compassion towards people. So that is the missing link. Like we've said a million zillion times, he has that mighty Skywalker blood, those extreme force powers, but he has the heart of Han Solo, the heart of compassion. And that's something that they have never seen as this force user. That's not what Revan had. That's not what Anakin had. He needs that heart that won't allow him to justify the means of killing a mass amount of people. There's a difference.
Right.
Something that before we move on from Revan and talk about his other half, Bastila, many people compare Revan to Anakin because he was so powerful, basically has a pretty much similar journey to Anakin. And, Kylo Ren is the same. People compare him to the Anakin story. However, he is the reverse Anakin. And what reversed Revan on the path from dark to light was love for Bastila.
Love for another person. Helped change someone for the better.
Yes,
Interesting.
very interesting.
Hello, this is Emrys, and with Luthien, thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click on that little bell icon that will give you notifications every time we post a new one. And of course, like, comment, and do all those things. Peace, love, and Reylo, guys.
All magic comes with a price.